Terrell Thomas, These Urban Times, and I'm sitting down with a gentleman that I know fairly well. We went to school together, and although we're adults now, we spent a lot of our teenage years together. And he's doing great things now in the Baltimore area. And we went to school, of course, in the Philadelphia area, but he's making waves, and I thought it would be fitting to sit down and pick his brain and learn a whole lot more from what he's doing, because he's doing a lot of things in finances and marketing. His name is Manny Henson, and he's the founder and president of Gamma Wealth Management. We definitely appreciate you coming and joining us today. How you feeling today?
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm feeling good. Happy Thursday, everybody. Or I'm not sure when this will be airing, but it's a beautiful day outside. We're gonna kind of get used to the sun setting a little bit earlier than after the rest of the year. But I'm getting ready for the fall. I'm excited.
I want to dive right in to give our audience a chance to gather some information, and we'll be sitting down pretty periodically and just talking different things in finances, marketing, and how to expand your financial portfolios and things of that nature. But how is the overall market doing right now in these times?
Yeah, it's been a seesaw. So if you did nothing at the end of last year, you went through and had your good first of the year, and you went ahead and you forgot about everything, you would have been very, very happy. But obviously, February was just miserable. As of the last couple of days, we're almost at the all-time highs of the S&P 500. The bond market's doing pretty well. Everything's great, but if you looked at the middle of the year, it would have been a whipsaw. So right now, what's leading is technology. Your Facebooks, your Amazon, Netflix, Google. This week, Tesla's owner, ended up becoming the fourth wealthiest person in the world. So it's a tale of two worlds. The overall economy is not doing very well. All-time unemployment is really, really horrible, and it's actually becoming a bigger issue longer term, and it's making it seem as though this is going to be a recovery. It's not going to be a V shape or a recovery, which would be very, very fast. So, but the economy, the stock market, if you looked at the stock market, you're doing very well.
Okay. Now, we see a lot of people right now, as you mentioned, the unemployment rates are extremely high. A lot of people are looking to also get into the realms of being entrepreneurs in these times. So we'll talk to you about that in a moment. But how should people who will be entering the job market, how should they go about planning, and what should their expectations be right now?
Yeah, so some people are going into either college or going into high school. Going to my in a year or so, my daughter will be going to high school. But people are looking at the job market. You want to be moderating your expectations. Try to get in the door. Try to get yourself at a point where you have a good organization first with the value that you can follow, and then work your way up. Historically speaking, whenever people have gone into the job market in deep recessions or depressions, it's taken sometimes maybe even years for them to get back on track. So you're going to have that long-term view of things and have the expectation that, hey, I might not be going into that position that I really, really wanted, but I'm going to get into a great company and then work my way up.
Okay. Yeah. And as far as entrepreneurs are concerned, especially being here in the Atlanta area, that's something that we see tremendously. African-American entrepreneurs, Black entrepreneurs popping up left and right, whether the business is a massage business, a restaurant. What should entrepreneurs, what should kind of be some do's or don'ts? What should entrepreneurs expect as they look to launch during this crisis?
So you're going to have to really, really hustle, right? So right now, banks have increased their underwriting conditions. For most cases, for most major banks, they're not even lending to businesses that are younger than a year or two, whereas maybe 6 months ago, maybe even a year ago, if you had 3 months or maybe 6 months of some revenue generating, you'd be able to get some assets for working capital. So it might be a situation where you want to be working towards refining your business plan, making sure you execute very, very leanly. Maybe not buy a brick and mortar establishment, maybe work virtually for some period of time, and then have that expectation that, hey, within 6 months or a year or 2 years, maybe the situation will change, and then you can look at the capital markets to raise cash. The other thing to consider is make sure that you have a backup plan. You have an exit strategy. You have some savings lined up. Perhaps you're in a 2-income household. Maybe you have a situation where one person's working and another person is doing the hustle. So I would say just think about it longer term. It's going to take a while for you to get traction, and just stay at it.
You spoke a moment ago about the stock market this week and how some things have
Yes.
been. You mentioned Tesla. If I don't want to, I don't want to give away too much free game, but for a lot of people who are looking to get into stocks, what are some good apps or what are some good ways to learn the stock market if they're looking to invest in and play around in that field?
So one is if you're looking at individual strategies, you got to also understand where we are in the economy. So there's up markets, there's down markets, there's sideways markets. There's always a market for something. So in this point of the economy, you're thinking about consumer staples, areas where perhaps people are going to spend regardless of wherever the economy is. Maybe you're looking at secular growth stories like the Teslas of the world. They're creating an industry that maybe didn't exist prior to them being established. Where you'll see some challenges is in those areas of the market like financials, consumers, discretionary things that you don't necessarily spend money on when you have a bad economy. But over the long run, I would say that if you have a long-term view of the world, you're going to go ahead, you're going to invest for not months or years, but decades. It's always a good time to take a long-term view and invest and be consistent and disciplined. And if you don't have an approach, you could reach out to someone that you trust to get a recommendation on someone to work with, or perhaps go and search for a financial planner through the web, through online or something like that.
We're kind of going through a transition season right now as summer's coming to an end or is at an end in some places in the world as school has began again in the South and stuff like that. We're also in an election year where we'll be voting for the president in about 2 months or so. How does that impact the seasonal change, us moving from summer to fall, and then us being in an election? How does that impact the stock market?
Well, from a marketing standpoint, you're going to see a lot of marketing spend. So if you think about what Facebook, what Google does, really where they're doing their marketing. So you usually see some really intense revenue spending from the big major parties and multiple platforms. In any kind of other media type of company, you'll see some revenue growth. But you would also want to take a mind of, hey, there's always going to be two sides of the story. Some people might say, if Republicans win, the market's going to do well. If the Democrats win, they may not be doing well. History has shown and research has shown that there's really no difference on what direction the market's going to go based on that. Now, there are some sectors that should benefit depending on who should win. Biotech and buyout, healthcare stocks generally are seen not to do that well under Democratic legislation. Maybe perhaps nationalizing those institutions, but there's certainly some green stocks, alternative energy that might benefit from that. So there's always some two sides of the same story.
Okay. Once again, we're sitting down with Manny Henson, the president and founder of Gamma Wealth Management. Before I let you go today, and as I mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, this is something we'll be doing pretty often. We'll be sitting down pretty often and picking Manny's brain. So I definitely appreciate him being open and wanting to educate us. This is something that we both feel like is needed in the African-American community and just against for young millennials and young people to actually understand stocks, understand marketing, understand finances a whole lot better. So I definitely appreciate your time and appreciate you sitting down with us. What should people do if they need advice and they want to talk to you, whether it be about their career, entrepreneurship, investments? How can they reach out to you? What should they do?
Yeah, so my website is Gamma, GAMMA, Wealth, LLC.com. And you can also reach out to me at Henson at GammaWealthLLC.com.
Manny, we appreciate your time today, sir. We'll be talking to you sometime in the next week or two.
Awesome.
And we'll see what the stock market looks like. By that time, we'll be heading into September. We'll see how things look and see if the election is shaking things up anymore. Thank you
All right.
for your time, man.
Thanks for having me.